Welcome back for another review. On this episode, the film that we're going to be reviewing is a 1982 film known as Humongous. Now, Humongous, my favorite part about Humongous is actually the movie poster. I love the poster I had for this film. It's I love the way that it's drawn out and like the lines written on there and everything. The film is directed by Paul Lynch, who has done other slashers. Mainly, his most known slasher is probably Prom Night, the original, not the remake. And he's done a lot of things. He's done TV shows like Vax. He did the RoboCop TV series. He's actually went on to do a lot of films. One of the starring actresses in this film, Janet Julian, who I actually know, most people probably know from the Christopher Walken film known as King of New York. She plays the woman character in that film, the main girl part, who is like Christopher Walken's like girlfriend sort of in that film. The other lead in this film is David Wallace, and this guy was in a few movies after this, but he's probably mainly known for he was in the soap opera General Hospital from '87 to '91. Now, the version I've seen of this film is a VHS copy transferred to DVD. Now, this movie is very dark on VHS. Now, a lot of people said that it was shot like that on purpose. Some people said they didn't have money for lighting. And it was shot to be dark on purpose, but it's not supposed to be as dark as it is on the VHS, because if you watch the trailer for this film that was released on DVD, the trailer, if you just compare the shots from the trailer to the VHS tape, they're completely different. The lighting in the VHS is obviously, when things are transferred to VHS, the lighting turns out as bluish, whereas in the trailer you could actually see what is going on in the scenes. And on the VHS tape you can't see it as well. I actually really like this movie. I really like the storyline and everything about this, but before I get into this review, I'm just going to say I wouldn't advise watching the VHS tape of it. I've seen the VHS tape, and the DVD is actually coming out this October 2011, and I would just wait for that, because the other film that's like this is Burial Ground. Burial Ground VHS tape, you can barely see what's going on in a lot of the scenes because of the way it was transferred from the 35mm prints to the VHS. But when the DVD was released, everything was all cleared up. So I would just wait. I wouldn't watch this on VHS. So anyway, the main story of this film, which I really liked, was about a woman who is she's at a party on this island of the mountain somewhere, and she's raped by, it seems to be an old boyfriend or something like that. She's a virgin. She's raped, and while she's being raped, the guy finishes up, and these dogs that live on the island wind up ripping the guy apart off of her and killing her. So now it flashes forward through a credit sequence that shows this girl throughout her life. It is now about, I want to say about 20 years, well, 20 to 30 years later. They don't actually tell you how many years later it was. And what it does is it shows a group of young kids who are about to go on this boat up the mountains, and they're trying to take this boat to a different part of the mountains. So when they're on the boat, it's real late at night, and what happens is they see a man with a flare gun. He's stranded out there. They pick him up. When they pick him up, you start to see what kind of characters there are. There's, you have the macho, asshole type character. You have his brother, who's, nicer. And you got this guy that doesn't really know much. So they're going by this island, and the guy tells them, there's nothing on this island but dogs and this old woman who's been living there her entire life. And what happens is they wind up fighting. They anchor the boat up, and they're going to stay across from this island overnight. But they all wind up fighting, and they wind up, while they're trying to turn the boat, they're all fighting over who has control of the steering on and everything. They blow a fuse, the boat goes on fire, they all jump off, and they wind up either swimming back or floating back to this island. When they get to the island, it's completely dark, and one of the characters goes into the woods, one of the teens, and he is murdered. So the story plays out with each one to get killed. You later on find out that the lady who inhabits this island is the woman who was raped with her son, who is a deformed creature now. And the deformed creature kills them off one by one until the climax of the film. Some people consider this a slasher. I consider it a slasher because, it has the normal slasher elements in it, but it's a little bit different with the monsters. Now, this film actually, in my opinion, a lot of films copied off this now, just the idea of Hatchet is sort of like this film. You know, you got like the wrong turn monsters sort of looked at people sort of looked like this monster, and you could tell that this influenced a lot of slashers, even though how unknown this film is. So I mean, I would definitely check this one out. The cinematography is very well. There's some really good shots in this. The last shot of the film is like, it's now one of my favorite. I love the last shot of this film is very good. And there's just some very good shots in here, you know, but there's some bad shots with the darkness too. That's why I personally can't wait for the DVD. So, you know, that's Humongous, and I would have definitely advised checking this film out. I mean, if you watch it on VHS, you really can't see the monster even at the end of the film. You just see like sort of glimpses of him. You can't really see him. I'm going to take it on DVD. You can probably see him a little bit better. That's one of the flaws of the film, is you can't really see the monster. But I actually enjoy this film if you're into 1980s horror films, slashers, or 1980s monster films. Definitely advise this one. Check it out. Please subscribe, and I'll definitely be back with some more reviews. Thank you.